Hey everyone, welcome back to Ormsby Farm. My name is Casey. So it is a cold, windy day here in Georgia, but I wanted to start outside with this, where it all began. So we are going to talk about garden for 2022, how to plan, what to do, how to get it ready, because now in January and February is really when you want to start kind of prepping, starting from seed, getting the areas tilled, adding in your compost and different things you may need for the soil. So if that's something that interests you, I hope you stick around.
I'm coming home.
Alrighty, so if you've been following us for a while, you know that this was our first kind of starter greenhouse. We got it in 2020 from a company called Quick Tents, and it was absolutely fabulous. I mean, it did really, really well for most of the season, except, errors on our part of not having it in enough sun. But it is a fabulous little greenhouse that we started our raised beds gardens in. If you did not know about those videos, I'm gonna link them up here at the top. Go check them out and watch them. We started with 100 square foot of garden in 2020, knowing that we were going to do it on much a larger scale for once we moved on to the homestead. And at that time we had not bought the homestead that we have now. So basically we're going from 100 square foot garden to now 3,000 square feet of garden space that we're using at the new homestead. So that takes a lot of planning, and I've done a lot of research and a lot of asking questions to my friends here on YouTube and on Instagram. And we've received a lot of seeds from our friends and subscribers here on social media, which we're really blessed about. We thank you so much, which I'll share more later in the video. But what I want to talk about now first is how to kind of prep on what you want. I've watched many videos on YouTube, and a couple that stick out to me off the top of my head is Jessica from Three Rivers Homestead. She did a video on how to plan your garden off of what you need on your candy shelf. It's a very informative video. Again, I will link it up here in an index card. She is just a wealth of knowledge on how to do that. We're going to do some of her garden math today. And also Audrey from Pursuit of Simplicity also did a video, and it's starting to rain as is it rain? Oh, yes, cut! Now that we're actually inside of the greenhouse, so we won't get wet because my camera is not waterproof. Audrey from Pursuit of Simplicity did another video on how to plan your pantry around your garden and your family's needs. One of the big things that I hear from all of my homesteading friends is plant what you eat. Don't plant just because it is something pretty or you thought it's cool. You can always try a couple plants, but your square footage of your garden is like gold. It's like your little business. This is what you're going to produce to bring back into the family to can or to freeze or to dehydrate or to freeze dry, so that you have food over the winter. So when you plan it out, you really need to plan out your garden kind of like a warehouse and a business. It's going to be churning product for you, for your family, and if you sell it, for you to sell. So that was the first thing that I had to do, is kind of sit down and think, okay, what do we go over or go through the most in a year? For y'all that don't know us, we are a mixed blended family. So a mother, her two sons, and my brother's girlfriend. And so we're adults. So there's no kids yet, but we need to plan for 4 adults eating off of this food for the year. Tomato products, we love. So I knew right off that I needed a lot of rows of tomatoes. We also sell our salsa, so I know I needed more rows of tomatoes. And I'll go over this, I'll have it on a paper and I'll show you how I kind of planned it out. But that's the first kind of step that I suggest on planning out your garden. Is kind of, I like to map it out on a sheet, figure out how many cans of each you go through in a year. And that can be a guesstimate because you may not know, you may not have done it before. And then in Jessica's video over at Three Rivers Homestead and Audrey's video over at A Pursuit of Simplicity, they kind of give mathematical equations of how to figure out how much to grow to one either quart jar, pint jar, that kind of stuff. So next, what you'll want to do is figure out how you're going to start the seeds. Okay, now disclaimer, I was that person that spent way too much money on growing stuff, like the little pots to grow it in, all that kind of stuff. I decided I was going to be bougie and buy just a ton. And well, there are easier ways. We're going to talk about those. But you want to make sure that you have a good seed starting mix. I'm going to leave some recommendations in the description box of what I've learned from last year gardening and what I've heard from my homesteading friends. But you also will need a good potting soil. Now, the potting soil is something that you also can put in raised beds. It's very expensive to kind of fill up raised beds in it, but you can. If you're doing smaller raised beds like what we did, which were, they're probably maybe about 3x2s, not as expensive, but when you're going on a larger scale that we are now to 3,000 square feet, it does get a little costly. But I will leave links to both my recommendation on seed starting mix and potting soil mix in the description box if you want to check those out. They're always easy Amazon affiliate links linked in our bio or in the description box that you can click on and go check them out. It doesn't cost you anything extra, but it helps out our channel. Another thing that you can do is look into heat mats. Now, I did buy heat mats and grow lights last year. I bought a smaller set of equipment just because I was only starting very few seeds, and they worked really well. The heat mat is something that you'll buy and you'll use for like a good while. It's just such a great thing to have. And a lot of seeds that you start, such as like the tomatoes and the peppers, they're wanting the soil to be warm. So if you live in a colder climate, or you're starting it in January or February, you're going to need that heat mat just for germination purposes and making sure that your seeds germinate. So I'm going to take you underneath the house and we're going to look at a couple other supplies that I have. One is actually right here. Now, I got this in kind of like a little kit that I talked about in another video, and it's kind of like the tray that you can put the seed starting stuff in, and you can also bottom water in these kind of trays. I have a couple of them. It's dirty because you see it's been used. So that is one that you need to get, just because I've done a lot of research on bottom watering instead of over the top watering when you're starting the seed and when they're a new seedling and that kind of stuff to protect your seed. This thing just flew in my mouth. So we're gonna go under the crawl space, of course, in our canning area, and we're gonna look at a couple other things that I'm gonna use to start seeds. And then we're gonna go into where it's warmer and talk about gardening. Alrighty, y'all, so we're in the crawl space now. And one thing that I bought last year that I did like, they were just a little bit more money than I probably should have spent, are the little pot things. And now I have just a ton of them. And I will be selling plant starts at the farmer's market near the farm. So I'm keeping them for that, so that they're more nicer quality. But then, of course, those trays, you'll need the trays. We'll go up and I think I'll leave a picture here of the grow light and the heat mat, because those are actually already at the farm, I think. I don't know. I think so. But some things that you'll need for your garden, and my camera's tilting down, is the BT. And I did a video on this, so I'll link that in there. But the BT, and that's good for the squash bugs and that kind of stuff to keep them away. And this is all the kind of stuff that you want to have in preparation for your garden. Copper fungicide. Copper fungicide is for certain mildews and bacteria that get on your leaves. And again, I did a video on how to use it, how many times a week to do it. So definitely go check that out. I like to have neem oil on hand. I actually just bought a bigger bottle than this. Wish it was a bottle. But I do have some left from the previous year. Salsuds is another one that I use. The Dr. Bronner's Salsuds is what I use. And I got this from Sarah and Kevin over at Living Tradition Homestead. They did a video on their fertilization schedule and protecting their plants in their garden, and this was one of them. And the other one is fish emulsion. Now, let me tell you, fish emulsion did wonders for our plants this year. Wonders. So I had started off with a bottle probably about this size, and went through that. So now I got the big girl size. All of these things that I'm talking about today, I will leave in the description box. If you want to get them, there'll be a link to the Amazon link for them. All of these literally work wonders for our garden. And it was a fertilization schedule that I learned from Sarah and Kevin over at Living Traditions Homestead, and it worked amazing. So I highly recommend the schedule. Again, I'll leave the link up here, and I will leave the thumbnail right here so you know that you're on the right video. But let's go up where it's warm because it's still kind of cold. And let's get started planning out the garden. The first one, we received this in the mail, and I was so confused because I was like, who sent us this? Oh my God, I need to thank them. There's no letter, no nothing. And then I remembered that I did the Secret Santa exchange with the Farm Sticker Swap group. And Molly has not released the name. Molly from Jupiter Moon Acres has not released the names yet. So I'm so excited to find out who my Secret Santa is and thank them properly for this. I mean, this has, let's see, we got the bush contender beans, beets, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, celery, kale, leeks, lettuce, peas, just a ton of stuff. And we are so eternally grateful for this. You'll see on my list that this is going to be used. Some other ones, we were sent these from a subscriber who wished to be remained nameless. And we got some cilantro seeds.
Okay, I think that's a good choice, Dill. Good for you.
Elysium, I think is how you pronounce it. But baby's breath. Dill, which you know I love some dill because I can a lot. Some rosemary. Some chamomile. And some basil. So thank you so much to that subscriber that sent us this wonderful blessing of gifts. And now on to more. I'm gonna get them all together here. And for Christmas, my brother got us these. Oops, let me turn them around. Watermelon and asparagus, because we are an asparagus kind of family, and it takes like, I think 3 years for them to start really putting off a harvest. So these will definitely be going in the garden next year. And then one of my good friends, Christina, over at the HillTop Gardens, sent me some of her seeds. And she sent me the Indian blue popcorn. So this will be the only corn that I do this year. I'm going to test them out, and Christina has assured me that it is easy. So I am going to tag her in the journey so she can make sure that I'm doing it right, because I hope I'm doing it right. And she also sent the mammoth sunflower seeds, which will go in our cut flower raised bed. So thank you so much, Christina. We really do appreciate it. Another one of my good friends, Nikki, over at 5 Dog Farm, sent us seeds for her candied roasted squash. And y'all know how much I love Nikki over at 5 Dog Farm. She is also one of the creators of American Crafted Catalog, which we are featured in, which we are so blessed to be. And they are also a sponsor of our podcast, Around the Hay Bale. So I'm really, really excited to do these candy roasted squash from 5 Dog Farm. So thank you, Nikki. Speaking of our podcast, my friend, my homegirl, Alicia over at Country Mama Musing sent us seeds as well. And she sent us marigolds and zinnias. I am so excited for both of these. I had learned so much about marigolds from Alicia and from watching some videos on one, that you could use them for your chickens, pluck and put them in the chicken bed. And also if you harvest the bulb of it and put it with your chamomile, it's a really good sleepy time tea. So thank you so much, Alicia. These will be going in our flower garden. And the next one is from our friends, the Noble family over at Simpler Life Homestead, Simpler Past Homestead, and that's Chinese broccoli. And we actually met them through the farm sticker swap, and we're really, really lucky to be able to switch stickers with them. And they sent us some Chinese broccoli. So we're really excited to put this in the garden, and we can't wait to share pictures with you. So thank you so much for sending us this. And my last one that will go in our herb garden is from Jade over at Woodlot on Pots. She sent us her parsley. Let me tell you, that's another one of my Instagram friends. Simpler Past Homestead and Woodland on Pots are amazing Instagram channels. If you don't know about them, make sure to click the link in the description box. It will take you over to their channel. But I'm really excited because I use parsley on everything. So I'm so excited, and thank you so much for sending us the seeds. So now I'm going to tilt you down and you'll get to see kind of my method to my madness on mapping out our garden. So I'm going to tilt you down. Alrighty, so the camera won't turn down as much as I thought it would, so we're just going to kind of go with it. So I am that crazy person that like draws out and maps out the garden. So see if you can even see it. So what I'm starting on first is right up here, and y'all saw it in a previous video. This is going to be the herb garden, and it's 21 feet by 21 feet. So I write that down. Make sure you can see what I'm doing. And in there is where I will jot down what herbs I will start from seed and where to put them. Now, a lot of the herbs tell you on the packet, and I'm gonna just grab a random one. And let's see, yeah, 18 inches apart. So it will say on the, I don't know if it focuses. It will say on the seed things, or you can look it up online. I'll leave some good reference websites in the description box. But my go-to for everything is always 18 inches. So then I'll know how many seeds I want to start of each herb. And with the 21 by 21, I usually do a foot around the outside of it so that I can kneel, step, walk, whatever I need to do to harvest to get in there, because it is such a big raised bed. To get to the center of it is going to be the struggle bus. So what you really need to do is just figure out how many rows, feet apart, you want of herbs. And again, you could do it any way that you want to. This is how we're doing it to plan. I'm a weird planner, but really you could just throw some plants in an herb box, and growing your own is the best, and you will have success either way. But what I'm doing is I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna map out for about a foot each. So that's gonna be about 20 rows. and that's totally less than 20, but we're just gonna go with it for now. And then you need to figure out what herbs do you use the most. And so that we probably use cilantro a lot, and cilantro is really good to do in the early spring and later fall because it does not like the hot. And cilantro is the same. I'm gonna pull it out just to make sure, but cilantro is the same. It says 12 inches, but again, my go-to is 18. I can't remember which homesteading channel I learned that from. I want to say Sarah and Kevin at Living Traditions Homestead. But that means that I want to do probably about 2 rows, and that will get me enough to use for us and use for the salsa that we sell. And if it's every 12 inches and you have 20 feet rows, really 18 feet rows, then you can figure out that you'll need probably about 17 plants per row. So that means I would need to start 34, if not more, of cilantro plants. Rosemary is the second one that we use a lot, especially during the winter for stews and roasts and that kind of stuff. Same thing, 2 rows, about 17 plants a row, so 34 of these I need to go. So right now we're down to 12 rows of other things, which I'm going to do an entire row of Jade's parsley that she sent. Trying to get all of my herbs. I'll probably do a row of the basil. We don't do much of the Italian foods a lot, but we do a good amount, and I love a good caprese salad, so I'll do a full 17 plant row. That's more of that. Here's another one. I use this for canning all the time. And as you see, it's still raining outside. But back to our dill. Dill I use in a lot of my canning, so I will probably do 3 to 4 rows of this, which means I need to start a lot of seeds. That is probably about 70 plants that I'll start of the dill. Chamomile is another one. I use it for teas, so I will be using it a lot. So I need about 2 to 3 rows of this German chamomile so that it will produce flowers that we can use for tea over the winter. So with that saying of the herb bed, when you saw me measure the other one is going to be our flower, and that's the same thing. It's a 21 by 21. We still haven't planned out a lot of the flowers, the cut flowers that we're doing, but just in mind, we have the sunflowers from Christina. We have the zinnias from Alicia. And we are going to do some tulips. We are going to do the baby's breath that was sent us from a subscriber. And we're going to do some carnations. If you've seen other our videos, there's probably about 70 feet lined of a fence that has all rose bushes. So we'll use those as well. I'm going to be doing a little medicinal flower herb bed for me. And I'll have stuff in there like eucalyptus. I'm going to have some more chamomile. Comfrey, because that's really good for plants to do a comfrey tea. Spearmint, peppermint, all of the mints I use for teas. And that is another one that's 21 by 21. There were 3 raised bed gardens in the front of our property. Now flipping it over to my drawings, which are just so fabulous, you can tell I'm an artist right here, is inside of our greenhouse. Now, in the back part of the greenhouse, if you've seen in some of the videos, there are some concrete block raised beds there already that are about 6 feet by 8 feet. So we're going to be doing onions there. And I'm going to be doing a video on starting onions from seed. I love getting seeds from 2 different places. One is a newer one, and I'm gonna start getting a lot of seeds from him, and that's from the M.I. Gardener channel on YouTube. Everybody knows him. He's fabulous. He's almost at 1 million subscribers. And then the other one is Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company. So I will be starting from seeds. I've got a lot of advice that it's easier and healthier for the plant to start from the seeds rather than the little bulb starters. So that is what we're gonna do in the next week or so. And then we are building a 6 by 25 foot raised bed, and that will be our potatoes. Sweet potatoes and regular potatoes. If y'all know, we did not have good luck this year with potatoes in the ground. So we're hoping, fingers crossed, that we'll get it from our raised bed because the soil will be softer and they'll be able to grow. And we'll also in the greenhouse be doing three 6 by 6 raised beds for lettuce, kale and spinach, and our carrots. How I chose certain ones to go in the greenhouse is when I pick plants, I want something that's self-pollinating, because don't make no good if the pollinators can't get to it. You won't have a plant. Just saying. So the lettuce, and I'm going to try to do lettuce year round because we love a good salad with a dinner. Whether it's in the winter, the summer, the fall, we love a good salad. So that is what we're doing in the greenhouse. Not much prepping for that. And before we go to our big garden, I'm going to our orchard. And this is another one that I kind of mapped out. And if you've walked with us in the garden, you know that there's a lot of fruit trees there. So there is already 5 plum trees, 2 peach trees, 2 persimmon trees, 2 fig trees, and a pear tree. So we don't have to worry about that. I'll just wait a minute. So we don't have to worry about that. But I want to put some other fruits in there. And I'm going to do some rows of about 10 feet. So in the rows, we're going to do some blackberries, some raspberries, and some strawberries. And then at the bottom, we have 2, one that was sent by a subscriber and one that Chris got, and they were the Jubilee watermelon and the Sugar Baby. I know the Sugar Baby, one of my friends grew last year and did really well, so we're excited about that. So those are the watermelons to be grown. And in the very back, again, you know, my drawing's amazing, but you'll see it on videos. The previous owner had some grapevines. Muscadine was one, and the other one was the white seedless. Now, the white seedless we are keeping. Muscadine we do not want. It was not properly taken care of either. So we're pulling those and putting some Viognier vines in there, but it will take 3 years before they start producing. But we'll have the white seedless grapes. So on to the star of the show. So if you can see, I had to map it out and draw it because one thing with this garden that the previous owner had, it was fenced in, but right down the center was the water line for the spout. And of course you can't tell them that because you'll break the pipes that go to the water. So we're going to have to pull up all of the fencing and move it over. I think we measured 6 feet. Again, that was in a previous video. Go back and check that out. But I am doing a 25 foot by 35 foot garden. And I'm leaving 4 feet on one side, which will have the spout and the line just to make sure. And then 1 feet on every other side. I will be doing a garden that is tilled, but still has the woven weed fabric on it, and it will still be fenced in. Again, I do all of my rows about a foot apart and all of my plants 18 inches. So I will do a video when we lay down the woven weave fabric and burn the holes to put the plants in. But one, you want to look up when you're mapping out your garden, you want to look up companion plants because there are some plants that really don't want to be beside each other and aren't friends, aren't good Judies, and they're not going to want to stay the whole summer being neighbors. I did that with all of this, so as I run down, just know that these are ones that can be beside each other. And towards the middle, I don't know if you can see the little half line. One side is going to be the spring summer that will end about July is when we pulled them this year. And then that's when our fall creps will go in that spot, and we'll till it and start it up. So at the very top, we're gonna do Christina's Blue Indian popcorn. I'm trying to find it again. Woo-hoo. I'm really excited because I'm excited to see how it grows and then to have some popcorn. And Christina, if you're watching the video, is it blue popcorn? Leave it in the comment. But after that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to have 4 rows, and that will be 18-foot rows of paste tomatoes. We haven't decided which ones we're doing. It's probably going to be the Amish paste like we did last year. Those did really well. And I like on each end of the rows to have cherry tomatoes for the tomato rows. So on each end of all of our tomato rows will be our cherry tomatoes, and because those are really for Mom. Nobody else really eats those but Mom. So 4 rows of the Amish paste, and then 6 rows of the slicing tomatoes. I'm probably going to do some Jet Star or Jet Setters, but I am going to have a row of Brandywine heirloom seed tomatoes. And those are mainly to sell at the farmer's market. So I will be doing plant starts at the beginning of the farmer's market. In the summer, we'll be doing veggies. And towards the end, we'll be doing canned items, breads, and holiday stuff, along with our candles and soaps. But then I'm doing 4 rows of peppers. We're a big pepper family. We love stuffed peppers. We love hot peppers, sweet peppers, all of it. So we'll do a row and a half of bell peppers and a row and a half of jalapeno peppers, and then a row of poblano, cayenne, and banana. Because we noticed those produce so much that you just don't need a lot of them. And our first row of summer crops will be the yellow crookneck squash, if I can talk. Will be in a row, and then that will be replaced by butternut squash in the fall. Now, if we have bug problems, squash bug problems, they may not go there, but this is just the starter plan. And then the next row would be our zucchini, replaced by the butternut squash in the fall. The third row will be Nikki's candy roasted squash. It will be replaced with spaghetti squash in the fall. And then we have 4 rows of cucumbers. Now, if you watched our videos this year, you know that our cucumbers did crazy and we only had 3 plants. You're probably thinking, Casey, you're psycho to grow that many. And the answer is, yes, I am. And then broccoli, collards, and cauliflower will replace the cucumbers. And then we have 3 rows of green beans. We eat green beans, the dogs eat green beans, we need a lot of green beans. Those are one that you can plant every 6 inches. And we probably will do that because we need a lot. Brussels will replace one of the cucumber rows. And then the final rows that will not be replaced with anything over the fall are eggplant, okra, sugar snap peas, and beets. We're really growing those to see how our family likes those. Those are ones that we don't grow all the time. We love them. We love eggplant. Mom likes okra, sugar snap peas, and that kind of stuff. But we're going to grow them and see, because you got to eat what's in season. And then the last couple of rows is a row of celery, because we all love celery. A row of cabbage, which we'll do twice. We'll do a spring, summer, and we'll do a fall crop of it. And then our asparagus all the way at the end, which of course will take 3 years. We are going to have a separate area for our pumpkin patch this year and a separate area for our Christmas tree lots. Again, that was shown on one of our other videos, so head back over to that video to check it out. Alrighty, y'all, so I hope that you now sit down with a nice cup of hot tea and start to plan your 2022 garden. It's so much fun to do. It just gets like tingles in my body thinking about it. If you liked anything that I talked about today on this video, such as stuff that I use to grow plants, the soils, Even the seeds, if you like some of the seeds, I will leave links to all of that in the description box below. So make sure you go and check that out. Y'all, thank you so much for joining in on this video and joining in on our journey. It really does mean a lot to us to hear these great comments that y'all leave in the comment section. And a lot of y'all, we are so excited that we've become really good friends with you. So thank you for that. If you have not, make sure you give us a thumbs up on this video. And while you're at it, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit that bell icon so you know that anytime new videos drop to our channel. Follow us on social media at Instagram and Facebook at Ormsby Farm. We will be posting there every step of the way of the homesteading journey, and we would love to have you along. Y'all, thank you so much for stopping by to Talk Garden 2022. Until next video, y'all, be blessed. We'll see you later.
I'm coming home.